Mary Talks Relationships presents The Mirage of Self-Development. We thought we could grow by watching ourselves. We confused loving ourselves with being self-sufficient. Self-love is legitimate. It's the recognition of our worth and our limits. But when all our attention turns inward toward our own comfort, it stops being love and becomes fear. Fear of being hurt, of lacking, of needing someone. So we build inner walls and call it self-care. In truth, we quietly lock ourselves in. We live in a culture obsessed with self-analysis. We dissect our emotions, our choices, our words. We monitor our moods as if we were reading a dashboard. We believe that if we understand everything, we'll suffer less. But understanding isn't living. A woman writes down 3 gratitudes and 3 emotions every night. She wants to learn to love herself, yet she can no longer bear the spontaneity of others, their clumsiness, their noise, their laughter. She wants peace, not life, and the peace she's chasing cuts her off from the world she was trying to understand. A man isolates himself after a depression. He says he wants to find himself. He reads, meditates, controls his breathing. Everything is under control, his schedule, his voice, his meals, but nothing connects him anymore. He talks about energy and balance, but avoids people. When he meets his neighbors, he looks away, afraid of an unplanned conversation. What wears him down isn't loneliness, it's stillness. Life doesn't dwell in perfect calm. It shows itself in movement, in encounter, in the unexpected that forces us outside ourselves. Modern narcissism isn't flamboyant anymore. It's quiet, methodical, reasonable. It no longer admires itself. It studies itself. It doesn't talk about pride, but about balance. We've replaced the mirror with a screen, admiration with management. We think we love ourselves because we monitor ourselves. We correct, apologize, try to do better. We want to be flawless, even in our kindness. A mother feels guilty for shouting and spends the evening reading articles on gentle parenting. A co-worker regrets saying no to a request. Both confuse moral perfection with real love. To love is to be present, not perfect. The trap is that this obsession with self looks like awareness. It gives the illusion of hype. We talk about personal evolution as if it were maturity. But growing isn't refining our analysis. It's daring the risk of relationship. Awareness only has value if it becomes action. Turned inward, it dries up. We've turned self-knowledge into a refuge when it was meant to be a springboard. We claim to seek inner peace, yet we run from friction with reality. We want to understand before living instead of letting life teach us. We spend our days evaluating ourselves. Did I react well? Am I aligned? Does this person suit me? The more we question ourselves, the less we exist. Life isn't a permanent exam. It's given to those who move forward, not those who observe themselves. Look at our relationships. We avoid deep conversations, awkward silences, disagreement. We prefer polite ties where nothing rubs. We think peace means no tension, when real peace is born from walking through disorder. True friendship, a lasting marriage, honest teamwork, all pass through friction. Maturity isn't the absence of conflict, it's the ability to stay connected when it burns a little. Narcissism disguised as progress convinces us we're advancing when we're standing still. We talk about movement, yet reject the friction that proves we're alive. A living person stumbles, fails, begins again. Whoever stops taking risks slowly stops loving. And when love fades, what's left is a flawless perfection without breath. Life isn't static peace, it's movement toward. When we stop moving towards someone, a part of us begins to die. Real progress isn't better self-understanding. It's daring to step out of ourselves despite fear to rejoin life. We've replaced spiritual masters with calm-voiced influencers. They don't speak of soul, but of energy. Not of truth, but of alignment. The words have changed, the hunger hasn't. To be guided, reassured, shown how to live. We no longer want interior effort, only simple formulas. We seek peace the way we seek stress relief. And every week, a new guide promises it's one click away. We listen to them everywhere, in the car, while walking, before bed. Their voices are soft, their sentences short, their smiles kind. They tell us everything begins within, that we already have all we need. It sounds liberating, but it's a trap. If everything depends on us, then every failure is our fault. We end up crushed by the burden of being happy. The wellness market runs on one unspoken promise. Life can be controlled if we find the thinking, visualization. We dive in, then switch, convinced the last one wasn't pure enough. We no longer seek truth, but the sensation of progress. A man claims he's finally balanced after a retreat. 3 months later, he's searching again. I feel I still have more growing to do. The pursuit of better becomes a lifestyle, an endless climb where every summit reveals another lack. A woman follows her coach's advice to the letter. She wakes early, meditates, writes intentions, lists gratitudes. Everything looks right. Yet one morning, she feels nothing. She's done everything properly, but the promised joy won't come. The emptiness unsettles her more than sadness ever did. She blames herself for not being happy, despite so much effort, and looks for another coach, another ritual. Doubt becomes a market's food. These modern gurus rarely intend to deceive. Most believe they help, but their logic is that of a product, attract, retain, promise. Their message simplifies life until it can be sold. They don't say the world is harsh, love anyone. They say the world is neutral. Change your perspective. It spares pain, but erases truth. Not everything bends to perception. There are injustices, wounds, griefs that can't be healed by mindset. Denying them is denying what makes us human. The great misunderstanding of the wellness movement is believing that suffering means something's broken. We want to erase it like a glitch. We forget it can be a call, a boundary, a trial that shapes the heart. People before us knew that peace is won, not granted, forged in the heat of the wheel. We chase peace as lasting comfort. No struggle, no surrender, no cost. But what we don't pay for never lasts. Peace without weight has no roots. These promises feed the dream of an all-powerful self. We want to believe an inner shift can remake the world. We replace action with visualization, fidelity with vibration, truth with positivity. We imagine the universe responding to our intentions like a kind waiter. But the universe doesn't respond, people do. And their response depends on love, not on technique. Scroll through social media, smooth faces, tidy lives, soft music. Everyone becomes their own guru. We post advice to breathe better, sleep better, vibrate higher. Meanwhile, we've never been more tired or more alone. We talk about energy but can't stand fatigue. We talk about love but cut ties at the first discomfort. Everything becomes reversible, temporary, disposable. Even relationships are treated like wellness programs. As long as it feels good, we stay. When it stops, we move on. Modern wellness has erased the idea of gift. It speaks of balance, not loyalty, of harmony, not courage, of healing, not transformation. It's a vision of life without tragedy, without mystery, without greatness. It wants happiness without weight, but happiness without weight turns into weightlessness. We float instead of walking, and life happens on the ground, in dust and contact. We still need guides, but guides who lead us back to reality, not back to ourselves. A true guide doesn't say look within, but look farther. They teach us to inhabit life, not manage it. Wellness gurus sell shelters. Real mentors teach us to love in the open. That's the difference between bland peace and strong joy. Wellness promises calm. Love promises fruitfulness. One soothes, the other awakens. We chose calm and lost vitality. Life, real life, only passes on when we step outside ourselves. We've spoken enough of balance, serenity, alignment. We've forgotten that life never promised stability. It moves by successive imbalances like walking. Whoever refuses to fall stops moving. Whoever needs to understand everything before loving stays still. Real growth isn't about shielding ourselves from the world, but learning how to take part in it, moving from withdrawal to fruitfulness, from comfort to responsibility, from self to relationship. We still think peace is an inner state. In truth, it's born from right movement, the kind that connects. Humans are made to circulate, to give and receive. When we close off, we wither. When we give, we expand. A closed heart dries out, an open heart grows stronger. It's as tangible and raw as breathing. The air we keep in suffocates us. The love we hoard dies. Look at ordinary life. A man decides to focus on himself after years of giving too much. He takes time, silence, rest, and that's good. But after a few months, boredom sets in. What felt like rest turns into emptiness. Then he begins volunteering, listening, helping. Suddenly he feels alive. It wasn't rest that restored him, it was service. True development doesn't lift us out of life, it throws us back into it. A woman, after heartbreak, swore never to depend on anyone again. She rebuilt herself, regained confidence, took control. But every encounter awakened her fear. She didn't want to lose control. Until one day she understood that to love is always to lose a little of oneself, not to disappear, but to risk. That day, she didn't give up her autonomy. She placed it in service of a bond. That shift and from control to gift marks the real turning point. We thought freedom meant choosing without limits. In truth, freedom takes shape inside commitment. The one who attaches to nothing doesn't become free, only alone. Commitments, a marriage, a family, a calling, aren't prisons. They're spaces where the self expands. Self-development stops at the threshold of fidelity, because fidelity escapes control. Yet that's where everything real happens, in duration, in the concrete, in repeated gestures. Modern man longs to fulfill himself but avoids the ties that would fulfill him. He wants stability without roots, fruitfulness without sowing, love without commitment. It's a gentle illusion, but barren. True growth isn't the enlargement of the self, it's its opening. We don't blossom by multiplying experiences, but by dwelling deeply in one with truth. The sign a person is growing is simple. They become capable of giving. Not flashy generosity, but quiet availability. To listen, to welcome, to stay. Mature love doesn't need excitement, it needs faithfulness. Real growth turns the search for well-being into the desire to do good. It stops saying, I want to feel better, and starts saying, I want to make things better. That shift makes joy endure. Look around. The most peaceful people aren't those who speak of peace, but those who forget themselves in service. A patient parent, a loyal friend, a fair colleague. Their happiness isn't spectacular, but it lasts, because it rests on one truth. Life given becomes alive. We thought we'd be happy when everything fit us. The opposite is true. We become happy when something surpasses us, when we stop measuring. The aim of real self-development isn't to center us, but to decenter us without losing ourselves. That movement makes the world inhabitable. Self-work has its place, but only if it keeps its purpose. To know ourselves so we can serve better. To strengthen ourselves so we can love better. Any growth that doesn't end in gift turns into self-worship. The self isn't meant to be a sanctuary, but a source. Water kept still stagnates. Water that flows gives life. To love is to accept not controlling everything. It's a rhythm of circulation, giving freedom, receiving without shame, losing a little so another can live better. There, life regains its flow. We discover that what we give isn't lost. It multiplies. We've spent years searching for ourselves. The day we start giving, we finally find who we are. Nothing is impossible for those who choose to love.